Welcome, everyone. We are excited to host another webinar as part of our Business Performance Center. As a reminder, for Zoom webinars, you are in listen-only mode, but we do have a Q&A feature in the Zoom window. Today, we are pleased to welcome one of our new coaches in our NAIFA Coaches Circle, Joe Templin. Joe is a 4 under 40 winner and human Kaizen expert. He's an ultra-marathoner, special needs parent, former assistance intelligence director, and international martial arts champion. He's also a #1 author and New York State membership chairman, and he's been a NAIFA member continuously since 1998. Welcome, Joe.
Kevin, thank you. So let's get this up and running. So if people have questions, please ask them right away because I want to make sure that we address them. And is everybody seeing my screen? Kevin, are we good?
I need to reshare.
Okay, let me do that. Share screen. See, this is why we ask. All right, now we good?
All good.
Awesome. So this is becoming an introduction machine. Now, why do you want to listen to me? Because I literally wrote the book on getting introductions. If you read this book and you actually apply it, which is a big thing because lots of people read books but never actually do what they say, in 90 days, you can move to strictly an introduction-based business. And when I was still a full-time financial advisor back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, as my kids like to say, I literally got so many introductions. I was giving them away to people in my field unit, to people that I manage. I would get a typical week 40 introductions. I still have clients call me, hey, Joe, I got some introductions for you. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing that anymore. I literally get calls out of the blue sometimes. I'm a friend of so-and-so. They say I should come talk to you. I have to redirect them to other individuals. I would have clients show up at review sessions with a typed list of 4 names, and they would say, sorry, Joe, we'll get you a 5th one before we leave today. I would look at my schedule and there would be appointments there. I didn't recognize the name, and my assistant Tara would tell me, yeah, that's a friend of so-and-so's. They're coming on in to see you because we scheduled them already. So this is what you have the capacity to build. And it is actually the single biggest skill in this business. Young reps fail out because they don't have people to call, and more experienced reps never get to grow and experience the wonderful life that successful producers can have, and they never build the deep relationships and be able to have the impact on society because they're not building and growing their business. So this is how you're going to do that. So everybody take out your cell phones, open your camera, and take a picture of this. So here's my ask. If you are not yet a NAIFA member or a current NAIFA member, and there is value in this webinar for you today, you're going to fill out this form and you're going to join NAIFA. If you are a NAIFA member and you got value out of this, you're going to share this with somebody who is not a NAIFA member who could benefit from this in some capacity. That is my ask. This is our agreement. If this is valuable, then you will either join or introduce other people who should be coming to NAIFA. Okay, so I grew up within the Northwestern system, and so we have the Grantham definition of a qualified suspect. Okay, and then you suspect, and you have all these. I never liked that term. It sounds like a bad 1970s cop show. And yes, I'm growing the cop mustache right now. It sounds horrible. It's got all these negative connotations around it. So I want you to replace qualified suspect. I want you to get rid of the idea of a referral because that sounds like the Kirby salesman. I want you to use the term introduction. I would like you to introduce me to other people. Please make an introduction to so-and-so. It's a common phrase. It's what we do. It is, per dictionary.com, a formal personal presentation of one person to another or others. This allows you to use the individual's prestige to be able to open that door. A list of names is nothing. It's basically glorified cold calling. But having an introduction allows for a transfer of their value, of their relationship from that other individual to you, and is the reason why you can get in front and talk to some wonderful people. Okay, so here's my goal for you today. I want you to all become introduction machines. This is my training website. There's a lot of free material up there. Write it down or go open a browser right now or what have you. www.theintromachine.com. Okay, so here are the success thresholds. I want to talk about thresholds instead of goals. Goals are something that you reach for. Okay, my goal is to run 12 Ragnars this year. Ragnars are 200-mile team relay races. Yes, I do crazy things like that in my free time. If you don't realize it, yeah, I'm ADHD and have way too much energy. So the goal is to run 12. Will I be disappointed if I only run 11? Yes, because I won't get the really cool medal and the celebration and all that, but I'll still have run 11 things. I'll still be in great physical shape. But if you're not having a goal, if you need a certain amount to survive, if I need to run 4 races or else I'm going to hate myself and I'll have way too much energy and I'll be sitting on the couch eating donuts and I'll look like Dwight at the end of Dodgeball, then that is actually something different. That is a threshold, because if I don't meet that minimum requirement, I'm gone. In the old days, if we didn't do 100 points with Northwestern, we were gone. If you don't do your minimum productions in your office, you're probably terminated. Okay, so that's not your goal. Your goal should be so much higher. That is the threshold, the bare minimum of survival. And we don't want to survive. We want to thrive. We want much more. So if you are not yet making MDRT, your threshold has to be 30 plus introductions. People fail out of this business because they don't have enough people to talk to. If you're not getting 30 introductions per week, 6 introductions per day, you're probably not going to be here in 18 months. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm going to be brutally honest with you because that's how I am. You need to get 30 introductions. If you apply what I talk about today consistently every single day, you will get your 30 introductions. You will qualify for MDRT. You will move beyond that and you'll have a wonderful life. At some point, buy me a beer for that. If you're making $1 million round table, but you're not yet core to the table, you can have a little bit less. You can get by with 20 introductions per week because you're meeting with a smaller subset of the community. You're meeting with higher standard people. You're doing more complex cases. You also probably have existing clients to service. You've got some guaranteed revenue from your renewals and your assets under management and various things. So to survive and grow a little bit, you don't need to be doing quite as much in terms of introductions. And once you reach core of the table, then you can get by with just 5 introductions per week. But you still need to get 5 introductions per week, 1 introduction every single day, because you're going to have clients die. You're going to have them, declare bankruptcy. They're going to have health issues. They're going to move out of the country, and so you can't service them anymore when they retire to Mexico. They're going to have these issues. They might just not like you anymore. The market could deteriorate, things like that. So you need to still get 1 introduction every single day to at least maintain and to be able to grow faster than inflation. So make sure you know where you fall on this basically ranking and what you need to do every single month, every single week, because that needs to be just like breathing for you. You need to live it. So here's the concepts that we're going to go over now that you understand what your minimum acceptable thresholds are. We're going to talk about capitalism. I am a capitalist, if you haven't noticed. We're going to talk about some calculating of value, big nerd in me coming out. We're going to talk about the law of large numbers, more nerdiness. And we're going to talk about standard operating procedures. This is my military background coming in my engineering. So these are the 4 things that we're going to talk about. So capitalism, I'm going to assume everybody on this call is a capitalist. You're probably not in our field, in our world, if you're not a capitalist. And who are some of the best clients to work with? Business owners and corporate executives. And almost to a person, they are capitalists. So if they're capitalists and they believe in capitalism, then 1, you should believe in capitalism and you should discuss it with them. So capitalism, per dictionary.com, is system like this, contrasted cooperatively or state-owned. By the way, I bring up that state-owned thing because if you're not a NAIFA member, your state might be moving towards socialism when it comes to financial services. We all know about what's going on out in the state of Washington right now. And I actually use that as leverage for recruiting for NAIFA for people who are here in New York State because they do business out there. So if you are not a NAIFA member, your legislators who have no clue about finance, who love spending other people's money, are going to spend your client's money, and you're going to be worse and worse off for it. But I don't like that definition. So here's my operational definition: a dynamic system of free exchange of items or services of value for profit. Let's break this down. It's a dynamic system. A system has multiple components interacting in it. Solar system, biological systems, doesn't matter. There's lots of different moving parts in there. It's a dynamic system in that it's moving and it changes over time. The financial system today is very different than it was 15 years ago, very different than it was 25 plus years ago when I entered the industry. And guess what? 5 years from now, it's going to be very different also. There's moving parts. Things change with your clients, okay? Of free exchange. Nobody is requiring your clients to buy your financial services. It's not like car insurance in New York State where you have to have it. It's a free exchange. So they are free to buy products and they are free to not buy products. They're free to buy products from you or anybody else out there. You do not have a monopoly. And here's the thing you need to remember though. You are not obligated to work with them. You are not obligated to accept any single person as a client. If they're a jerk to you, if they're a jerk to your team, to your staff, you do not need to accept them. You can fire their ass, and I expect you to. And by putting up that purple velvet rope, by being more restrictive of who you let in instead of trying to work with everybody, you actually become more attractive overall. Okay, it's like the hot woman who actually rejects a lot of guys, and that makes her much more attractive. Being able to reject people and be choosy and have boundaries in your business is going to make you a better business person. Okay, and it's a free exchange of items or services. We go to dinner and we don't dash and dine, correct? We pay for that meal. We go to see the attorney and we get a bunch of legal documents drawn up. It's just words on a page, but we pay for their thoughts and the process and ultimately the documents. Same thing in our world. Everybody thinks, oh, I get paid when I sell an insurance policy. Yeah, you get paid for that in terms of dollars, but do you create value? If you get a client to go get their will drawn up, do you get paid for that? No. Did you create value? Yes. Do you deserve to be compensated? Absolutely. And this is one of the things that you need to get your head around. I work with a lot of young reps and they're like, oh, I'll ask for introductions after I sell something. BS. And we're going to talk about it in a little bit because I'll give you actual examples from my own life with it. But I want you to understand that if you create value for somebody else, that you deserve to be compensated for it. And it's for profit, because if the client feels like you've taken advantage of them, I don't care if you're selling them a burger or a car or financial services, or you have, the fees on their assets under management. If they don't think that they're getting good value, they're going to feel like you took advantage of them. There is no profit in it for them, and they're going to no longer work with you. Same thing. You need to feel like you're getting profit for it. If you have a client that is calling your office constantly and it's 2 hours a week explaining the same thing and they're mean to your staff and all these other things, guess what? Fire them, because there is no profit in that relationship for you. Okay, so remember, capitalism is a dynamic system of exchange of items or services of value for profit. You need to make sure everybody profits, because then you have a sustainable relationship that will grow over time. Now, as I'm going to show you, the profit in the relationship is over time. So your approach, that thing that you say in the first 30 to 90 seconds when you're interacting with a client, this is where you determine the ground rules of the engagement. This is where everything is determined. As you can read about in the article I wrote in Insurance News Net about a year and a half ago about the monkey brain, this is where they decide in the tribe or out of tribe. They're basically sizing you up and deciding, can they trust you and can they work with you? Okay, so I lay the groundwork right away. As I said, I'm a capitalist. So one of the things I ask them is, are you a capitalist? I am. All of a sudden we're in the tribe together and we're bonding. As a fellow capitalist, do you believe that if you create value, you do deserve to be compensated for it? that you deserve to be paid. And guess what? The attorneys, the accountants, the engineers, everybody who creates value, they're like, yeah, I want to be paid for my value. Good. Because as a capitalist, I like to be compensated for my time too. If you're working with a lawyer, you can shade this a little bit and say, are you familiar with pro bono? Of course, they're familiar with pro bono. It's like, I do a lot of charity work. I probably do about 10 hours of charity work a week overall. However, when I'm doing charity work, I know that I'm not getting paid. When I'm working, when I'm wearing my tie, when I'm actually doing what I am a professional to do, I like to get paid for my time. Do you? Awesome. Okay. And I always use a Boolean logic, an if-then statement. Sandler calls it the deal before the deal or upfront contracting. And every single first meeting that I have with anybody, I use this phrase. I use this phrase so much that my kids make fun of me. But then again, they always make fun of me because I'm their father. If I create value, then you will introduce me to other individuals who could benefit from sitting down and talking to me the same way so-and-so introduced us. Take out a pen and paper, everybody, and write this down. I want you to write it as opposed to typing it on your computer, because when you type it, you don't remember. If you write it, you retain it. It's called haptic feedback. There's your psychology word of the day. If I create value for you, then you will introduce me to other individuals who could benefit from sitting down and talking with me the same way so-and-so introduced us. Notice I say, then you will introduce me. I don't ask, I command. Again, subtle psychology. If I create value for you, then you will introduce me to other individuals who could benefit from sitting down and talking to me the same way so-and-so introduced us. And then I add my phrase, is that fair and reasonable? Is that fair and reasonable? Because the answer is yes. My kids make fun of me. They start trying to use that phrase on me too. But if they agree to this upfront contract, one, they have an escape clause in it. If you don't create value, they don't owe you introductions. So it's your moral and fiduciary obligation to create value for them in some capacity in that meeting. But it's a handshake. It's an agreement. It's a verbal contract. And so you can hold them to that. You just have to deliver on the value. It's that simple. And always discuss compensation up front. In the 20,000 plus meetings I've had 2 people say they wouldn't introduce me to other individuals. Those meetings ended within the next 30 seconds as I threw their stuff in the garbage. I like to get paid. So I always make sure I get paid. Some people are like, well, it's uncomfortable, I'll wait. BS, okay? You set the parameters. People don't like to be surprised. They want transparency. It's one of the basic concepts of the trust factor, which we can discuss at some other point. You discuss it up front, okay? You go into a restaurant, there is an agreement that if you get food, you're giving them money. There's an upfront agreement with the attorney. If you spend time with me, I give you money. There needs to be an upfront agreement with your clients. If I give you value, then you give me something of value in return. There is no negotiation on that. You get an agreement, boom, then you just have to deliver. If that makes you uncomfortable, then keep doing it until it's no longer uncomfortable, because being able to do that every single time is what's going to make you successful. Any questions, by the way, with the if-then statement, Boolean logic? I'm not seeing any chat, so I'm going to assume no. Let's keep going forward. Calculation of value. Okay. If I create value, then you will introduce me to other people. And people are like, ask if I sell them something or it didn't feel right. Let's figure out how valuable those introductions are. What are you worth per hour? What is an introduction worth? And are you leaving $100 bills on the table? I guarantee that you are. So calculation of value, this is pretty basic math. Your hourly rate is your compensation divided by your time. You know, I make $72 an hour. I make $240 an hour. You know, when I'm coaching, it's $500 per hour, or whatever it is. Okay. So if you make $200,000 a year and you work 2,000 hours, which is normal hours, that means that you're worth $100 per hour. No real question about that. Okay. Big side question though is, what is your utilization rate? What is your FaceTime rate? because you're not spending every single one of those 2,000 hours creating value for clients. You're dorking around. I guarantee you're going to the DMV, you're ordering lunch, you're getting your hair cut during the time, you're like doing stuff on the computer, you're playing around. There's a study from MDRT and LIMRA showing that the greater your FaceTime percentage, your utilization rate, the more money that you make. Top of the table individuals work less hours than MDRT level producers. It's just that they're spending their time actually working as opposed to sitting in the office dorking. So that calculation of value, yearly earnings per introduction divided by introductions per year tells you the value of an introduction. So if you make $200,000 a year and you get 500 introductions per year and a week, which for most people, that's actually a lot. That means that every introduction is worth $400 to you. Now, my ex-wife worked for a major engineering firm, and she would hope to get a 5% raise, maybe a 7% raise in a really good year. We completely control our revenue. We want to make more money, we work harder, or actually we just work smarter. Or how about you just ask for more introductions? Because if every introduction is worth $400 to you, if you got one more introduction per day, one more per day, that's worth $100,000 to you. Average American doesn't even make $100,000. And all you have to do is ask and receive one more introduction each and every day. So lesson learned, calculation of value. Introductions are valuable. Anybody dispute that fact? Or do we have to go back to, the first slide? Your time is valuable. I like to be compensated for my time because guess what? If I'm not getting compensated, I'm going to go sit on the couch and drink beer and watch the Yankees game. Actually, no, I'm not going to go for a run, but that's beside the point. Invest time to earn your introductions, to build your business. You get to the point where you're getting 6 introductions every single day as a relatively new rep, your business is going to grow. Once you make core of the table, if you're getting 4 introductions every single day, your business is going to continue to grow. And once you're near the top of the table, if you get 1 introduction per day, you're still going to be making more and more money and working less and less. Here's a cool new tool that I'm using. So take out your phone and snap that. 1 more introduction per day, I said. I started using this and it automatically through LinkedIn targets the exact people that I want to talk to. And my people are different than yours because I'm trying to talk to managing partners and managing directors about coaching them. And it automatically sends LinkedIn messages and automatically gets them in my system. I don't have to do anything. Now I'm getting 1+ new connection every single day. Bruno put this together. Bruno used this as his first year, wrote over $350,000 of premium. Didn't know anything about insurance at that point. They sold $350,000 of additional premium. You might want to look at adding a tool like this in. So law of large numbers. Lou Gehrig, the Iron Horse. I am a Yankees fan. If you're a Red Sox fan, I'm sorry. Maybe Adam Sachs is on. I'll make fun of him, but he's my buddy. Okay. Insurance is actuarially based. Shouldn't your business be actuarially based? Too many people hit a couple of home runs early on and they think that they're the next Babe Ruth. And they're really the next Kevin Moss. Or, they have a small sample size and things go really well or really poorly. And they think that, this is horrible and they don't trust the system. Or they think that they're, God's gift to insurance sales. And they very quickly find out that they're not. And they come back to earth. Retrogression to the mean or hitting to the back of your baseball card. So if you are a traditional life insurance agent, the old school way, Al Granum 1031. Okay. If you're doing full financial planning, it's much closer to 831 based on my research. And 502 plate appearances to qualify for the batting title. People are like, what's the relevance of that? 502 plate appearances is 3.1 plate appearances per team game on a 162 game schedule. If you're not keeping 3.1 appointments per day, you're probably not going to be in the business long range. If you're already MDRT or above, then you've gotten past the point of no return and you're going to survive. But this is bright line. I still have actually my calendar books tracking going back to 1995 as a college intern. And I can show you that I kept 3.6 personal selling appointments per day and 1.5 management ones for 5.1 appointments per day. I just got more play appearances. That's the only reason I can succeed. It's not this movie star good looks or my wonderful personality or these great sales skills. It's just that I got up to bat at enough times. So you need to get to up to the plate enough times so that you can swing and win. So here's some law of large numbers and why you need to ask for introductions. 1995, as a college intern, I took a fact finder, a guy named Ed Ing. And I never saw Ed again after that point. I don't know if he's alive or dead. No, I don't know anything. But I knew that I was going to get paid for the time that I spent with him taking that fact finder in the student union. I was going to get introductions. I got 3 introductions. First one, no appointment, dead file. Second one, $600 of premium, 1996. Woohoo! Made $300 as a college intern. Big day, actually. And intro 3 became client 3. Also $600 premium. So I got 2 out of 3 sales. I'm hot stuff. I'm hitting 666. Let's see what happened on the next generation of things. Client 2 ended up giving me 3,540K worth of investments over a little bit. I got 5 introductions. Client A, client B, no appointment. Client C, client D, intro F, dead file. So 3 out of 5. So I'm hitting 600 still. I am feeling like I am king of the world. I'm awesome. Right? And you can see client D, 1997. So there's a little bit of delay between 96 and 97, bought disability insurance. How many of you are like, geez, this person just bought some term insurance. I don't want to talk to them anymore. It's not worth it. Or they just bought a little term disability policy. Or geez, they just gave me money for a Roth IRA. This is not worth it. The profit in the relationship comes over time. And it's the profit in the relationship. Because client D, who's Doug, who's actually one of my best friends, godfather to my son who turns 16 next week. I'm godfather to his son, Jameson. Yes, he named his son after a whiskey. He gave me $300 premium back in 1997, but ultimately he ended up giving me 7.2K in premium and had $250,000 of investments with me in 2003, gave me 10 introductions. And this is where I get the universe said, here, smack, welcome back to reality. 9 out of the 10 did not become clients. In fact, a bunch of them didn't get appointments, get fact finder dead file, so they ended. However, intro J, the last one, the 10th, became client J and gave me $2,400 of premium in 1997, right after I turned full time. So I made $2,000 there. I was feeling I was really good. Okay. Client J, between 2004 and 2005, gave me $700,000 of premium and $100,000 in planning fees. That's probably bigger than most of you have ever seen in a single transaction. That's not the biggest case I've ever written, by the way. I've written a couple bigger than that. And as of 2022, the individual who was handling the investments, because I no longer do that, had 60 million plus of assets under management from client J. That's 400,000 plus of annual revenue. If I had not asked that first individual, Ed Ing, at that fact finder in the Rensselaer Student Union for introductions and got my 3, because I never saw him again, I would have never gotten to client J. Oh, I'll wait till I sell him something. I'll wait till the close. I'll wait till I add value. I'll wait. You wait, you lose. You never get those opportunities. I created value for him in that fact finder because I got him to go and take a blood test because he had cheese whiz going through his veins. And I heard that actually he ended up like getting healthy and things were well. I did hear a little bit of him afterwards. But because I added value, I deserved to get the introductions. And those introductions from this guy who I never saw ever again led to hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue. Do you understand how valuable introductions are? If yes, please type yes in the chat now. Nobody. There's nobody out there. Okay, I'm just talking to myself. That's all right. I'm going to keep going. Okay, somebody raised a hand. If you've got a question, take them off. Okay. Yes, okay, good. Some people are getting value. That's good. All right. So let's keep going here. Law of large numbers lessons. You never know on any particular introduction. Every particular introduction is a lottery ticket with a 1 in 10 chance of winning. So if you could go to your local 7-Eleven or Quickie Mart or whatever and buy lottery tickets, and they were $1 a piece, and 1 out of 10 was going to win, but 1 out of 10 also had, you'd win $100. You would play that game over and over and over again. You just keep playing it because you know that you're getting paid 10 to 1 on it, and you just keep doing it. Why are you not doing it in your business? You never know on any particular introduction, so just keep asking and getting them. Activity lets probability work. I could tell you the story of when I had 18 appointments in a row cancel. I'm not going to. We don't have time for that. But activity, seeing more clients, one, develops your skills. But if you know 1 out of 10 becomes a client, why are you not seeing 30 a week in your early stages of your business so that you succeed? Large cases take a long time. By the way, I've never written $100,000+ premium case in under a year. The old saying is that the gestation period of an elephant is 2 years, which is true. So if you're pursuing these large cases, guess what? It's going to take a while, and you need to make sure that you're still eating along the way. Let's see, chat. Anybody have something? Yes. Oh, chat was disabled. Okay. So let's talk about SOPs, standard operating procedures. Anybody who's been in the military knows what this is. Anybody with an engineering background like me knows what this is. Standard operating procedures is the way that we do things every single time, so we have consistency and we have quality. You know, they have a checklist when they're going to take off in the plane of what they do. And you expect them to do that, don't you? Because if they're like, oh, didn't fuel the plane, it's going to be a very bad trip. If you're going in for surgery and they didn't wash the instruments or sterilize the instruments, guess what? There's going to be a bad thing that comes out of it. You're not going to get the optimal results. Same thing with us. Same thing with your financial planning process. Patrick Bet-David did a talk a couple of years ago talking about having standards and procedures and having systems for success. Michael Gerber's talked about this in the past. Have SOPs, standard operating procedures, the way you do things every single time to ensure that you're doing things properly. Don't cut corners, okay? And the spirit is willing. You know, we always want to do the right thing. But then, oh, I'm tired. I didn't feel like it. We were running out of time. You know, the dog was barking. There's always some excuse. So SOPs remove the excuses from me. Okay? And I had SOPs for everything. My initial meeting, my phoning process, my confirmation process. I used agendas. By the way, I'm going to show you the agendas that I used in meetings. You can take and use these. They have been compliance approved from every single major insurance company out there. I had an SOP for my R&D. Okay? In fact, I had an SOP for every single part of my sales cycle. Now, was I cookie cutter? No, every single client knew that I was giving them personalized advice, that I was giving them exactly what they needed, that I cared about them. But by having the processes and procedures, it saved time. It allowed me to be efficient, which allowed me to see that many people, which allowed me to help more people. Although, by the way, it also allowed me to make more money. Okay? So use your staff and use technology to be able to run your SOPs and create consistently awesome experiences and results for your clients. So here's my first meeting agenda. Introductions, overview of process, what I do, how I do all that, mutual expectations. That's where I have my if-then statement. If I create value, then you will introduce me to other individuals who can benefit from sitting down and talking to me the same way so-and-so introduced us. Notice the words are exactly the same because I have said those words not just 10,000 times, not just 100,000 times, but probably a million plus times. This is one of the reasons why you need to practice your language, by the way. You need to have that phraseology so embedded to that in you that your significant other can wake you up in the middle of the night and you will spew it out. Okay, if you haven't practiced it to that level, then you are faking it. As Archilochus said centuries ago, we do not rise to the level of our ambitions, but rather fall to the level of our training. This is the reason why you practice on a regular basis. That mutual expectation of, if I create value, then you will introduce me to other people who could benefit from sitting down and talking to me, same way so-and-so introduced us. Is that fair and reasonable? You're probably tired of hearing that phrase. You should never get tired of that phrase. Okay, information gathering, facts, feelings, red flags, all of that sort of stuff. Notice number 7, favorable introductions. It is on the agenda. So even if I'm facing Wimp Junction, as Pete Grider would talk about, I'm not going to avoid it. Doesn't matter if I'm not feeling it, if I was out drinking the night before, or I got a cold, or the dog's barking, or whatever. It is on the list, as is scheduled next appointment, so you're not playing the chase game. So here's an example. I did my normal if-then statement with a potential client, and they agreed, and we got down to the end of the meeting. He's like, dude, I gotta run, and my wife's calling me, she's pregnant, she's only 6 months, but she's calling me, I gotta go. It's like, no problem, and I made it easy for him. I handed him a list of people. He glanced it over, crossed off one name, said, call them all, walked out, and I got 9 introductions for that 1 minute because I had set it up properly with my if-then statement and having the agenda. 9 introductions at $400 per, that's $3,600 that I got paid for that 1 minute of work, which I wouldn't have gotten paid because I never saw the guy again, but I did it. Expected time of meeting. So if somebody says, oh, I've only got 30 minutes, instead of half-assing everything, okay, we're going to go through the introductions, the overview process, the mutual expectations, then we're going to jump down to favorable introductions and figure out when our next appointment is. And I've done that multiple times because if they go away, I never see them again. I want to get paid for the time I spent because I like getting paid. I'm a capitalist. Here's my presentation meeting. Review of goals, review of analysis. Look, favorable introductions, next appointment. It's on every single agenda. By the way, one of the things you should do is you should have 2 copies of your agenda. Print it out if you're meeting them face-to-face. If not, you need to email it so it's in their inbox. And they need to take one that they keep with them, they keep with their stuff, and the other one they need to initial, and it stays in their file. Your compliance department will love that because it covers your butt. So on SOPs, here's the big model associated with it. Tell them that you're going to ask. Earn the right to ask. Ask. It's not that tough, ladies and gentlemen. Tell them that you will ask. In your approach, by the way, anybody that would call my office, my assistant would answer the phone, and before she'd hang up the phone, she'd be like, by the way, please don't forget that we work strictly on an introductory basis. So they were hearing it all the time. In your email signature, does it say, we work strictly on an introductory basis? Remind them over and over and over again, and you are literally training them to come in with introductions. Earn the right to ask. In your fact finder, you can ask questions that they've never heard. You can add value there by getting them to do stuff. In your presentation, you're educating them. With your ongoing service, you introduce them to the mechanic that fixes their car. That is valuable. You introduce them, they should introduce you. And then just ask. You don't need to have great language. You just need to be consistent and do it every single time. But one thing is, make it easy for them. Because clients are lazy. We all know this. The brain makes up about 5% of our body mass, but it's 20% of our energy usage. So we cut corners. We use what's called heuristics. We're lazy. Okay. Rules of thumb are exactly that. Ways to not have to expend energy. So make it easy for them. Have that list. Okay. I have a list of about 10 people every single meeting that I pull from their LinkedIn or other places. I literally slide across the table. I say, To make it easy for you, I had my staff do some research. Here's some people that you know who I think I want to get to know. Do me a favor and cross off all the jerks. Whoever wanted the presentation agenda, email me and I'll send it to you in a Word doc so that you have it. Okay, here's people that I think you know, who I might want to get to know. Please cross off all the jerks because I'm the only jerk allowed in the room. I literally say that and they laugh, and when they laugh, they're actually more able to be influenced. But they go on through and they might cross off one name and they start writing other names. So I've got 10 names that I then clarify and find out more information about. But I spend the couple of minutes sitting on my couch, drinking beer, listening to the Yankees game, putting together the agendas and the feeder lists for the week, print them on out, and I just hand it to them. And it's easy, and I get paid very well. Because if I get 5 introductions at $400 per, that's $2,000. But if I get 10, because I took the extra 2 minutes, that's an extra $2,000 for 2 minutes. That's a pretty good hourly rate, by the way. Also, orange car. This is where you're asking for something weird, something a little unusual that sticks out. So if I tell you to, look for an orange car, you don't see them until your reticular activation system makes you look for it. And then you'll be like, damn it, Templin, I saw one. This is the reason why Tom Hagner wears an orange shirt, by the way. This is the exact psychology behind it. So ask for something unusual. I used to work mainly with tech individuals. So I would ask them to look for tech teams, companies with between 5 and 15 employees in the video game space. They didn't find them often, but you know what? Every single one of them became clients of mine because anybody who saw that, who had an introduction, called me, and I was able to go on in and work with them. So ask for something a little unusual, be very specific. Asking you shall receive. Another thing, cell phone. Hey, who's the last 5 people that you texted? Everybody's got their cell phone on them at all times. So that's always, a backup that you can always pull on out if you haven't done the forethought and foreplanning to put together your feeder list. Hey, pull out your cell phone. Who's the last 5 people you texted? Okay, and then you just repeat the cycle. Every single time I sat down with a client, whether it was the first meeting or the 50th meeting, I focused on adding value. At the end of the meeting, I would ask, was this valuable? What was the most valuable thing to you today? As we agreed when we first sat down, if I create value, then you will, yes, I did graduate from RPI. If I create value, then you will introduce me to other individuals who could benefit from sitting down and talking with me. Okay, repeat, repeat, repeat. Just like, I've done my martial arts forms 10,000 times plus. Okay, running a marathon, you know what it is? It's you put one foot in front of the other and you repeat, you repeat, you repeat. Same thing. You just keep repeating the process. But one of the things is you can tighten your criteria each $100,000 of production that you have. If you're doing 100,000 of production, you're talking to anybody. They've got upright taking nourishment, as my friend Mike used to say. You can talk to them because at least you're getting practice. You're doing 250, 300. You've tightened it up a little bit. Hey, they have to be married. They have to have kids. They have to be earning 100,000+. You get to the point where you're doing 400, you're even tighter. I'm only working with people who are above the Roth IRA contribution limit simply because there's some unique tax implications and they need specialized planning. You get even higher, 700, 800. I only work with people in the top 1 or 2 income tax brackets simply because they need specialized planning that I can provide. So you tighten it up as you get there, but you earn the right to get there. So with SOPs, where do we get these names? How do we do it? We do cyberstalk, research and development. Yes, this is some of the Intel stuff that I do. You Google somebody's name. You want to talk to somebody, you just put their name in parentheses and you will find everything about people with that same name. So you then add different things. Because if you're looking for John Smith, there's about 5 gazillion of them. But if you look for John Smith in Kansas City, Missouri, you're down to a smaller subset. If you've got John Smith, Kansas City, Missouri, RPI, boom, all of a sudden you're finding that person's LinkedIn profile. You're finding that person's Facebook. You're finding that person's page on their website for work. Okay? Narrows your funnel tremendously. So use the Google machine, as I tell my kids. Go to Facebook, type their name in. Especially if you know some of their friends, you can find them pretty easily. Okay, LinkedIn, as I said. Cell phone snap. This is sort of spy-like, but we all carry cell phones with cameras. If you're in a building and there's the list of all the attorneys in that office, take your cell phone, take a picture of it, snap, pretend you're taking a selfie. Oh, okay? But this way, now you have that information so that you can go back and feed those names to that person the next time around. Okay, phone tree. I can't tell you the number of times that I would be in my office, 6:45, my first meeting would be 7 a.m., just like today. And I'd take a couple of minutes, I would call an office. And, you call the main line, whether it's for General Electric or a small, law firm. And what do they say? If you know the name of the party that you're trying to reach, please dial their name now. And you hit 2, which is ABC. And was the nice voice, typically a nice lady, say, if you are trying to reach so-and-so, please press 1. If you're trying to reach so-and-so, please press 2. If you're trying to reach so-and-so, please press 3. And what do? I write those names down. I'd be able to put together a list of the people who are in the office. So that way I can then have my list to feed to those people. I used to have dossiers on entire offices so I could have all the names so I could feed them. And you know what sometimes happens if you're calling at 6:50 in the morning? Who picks up the phone? The CEO, the boss, the chief executives, the people who are working hard because their secretary's not there yet. So they pick up their own phone. I've had it happen a dozen times. Hi, this is so-and-so. Oh, hey, so-and-so, this is Joe Templin. I didn't think you'd be in the office yet. No, I am. It's nice and quiet now. How can I help you, Joe? Well, I'm a friend of so-and-so. I've been doing some work with them. Boom, I'm into setting the appointment. And they appreciate it because you're calling them before 7 a.m. at the office. That means you're a go-getter too. They want to work with people like that. So use the phone tree. Use these different ways to be able to get the names to feed to make it easy for your clients. So in conclusion, we are the only ones that bring peace of mind and stability in this chaos. This world is crazy now, and it's getting crazier. The markets are melting down. By the way, here's an introduction question for you. Call all your clients over the next week as part of your normal business and ask them, hey, who among your friends is complaining that their financial advisor's not calling them in all of this? You will get a dozen introductions that way by calling this week your clients and asking them, who do you know who's complaining that their financial advisor's not calling them in this chaos? And you can then bring them peace of mind. And by the way, you'll be very well paid for it. So we are the only people who can bring peace of mind in this financial chaos that we have out there. Introductions are how you get paid and how you build an introduction-based business. And the goal is core of the table or bust, baby. Okay? And 2023 is the year for you to invest in yourself and double your business. Thank you. It's now open for questions. Kevin, can you open it up so that people can actually jump on in?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking the time just to share your expertise with us today, Joe. As a reminder, the Q&A is working, the chat is as well. So if you all have any questions, feel free to use the chat Q&A, or if you want to use the raise hand feature, we can actually unmute you as well.
They put you to sleep? Bueller? Tom Palmieri.
Asked to unmute Tom.
I'm sorry, no, this is Tom. I just want to say that, this is still a weakness of mine, but I love your approach to this. And, if you do work, I like the idea. I know it's sometimes painful, but if you don't try something different, nothing's going to change. And I definitely appreciate you. And I was very excited for this meeting. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, buddy. So here's why I would recommend, saying how you and I have known each other for way too long. Okay, put together a list of questions, of groups of introductions potentially, and carry it in your briefcase. So you can print out 20, 30 copies. You can use it with everybody. And just have questions for business owners like, who's your competitor that you like and respect the most? Who's your best supplier? Who are your chief advisors, financial, legal, all these other things? If you were to start another business, who would you go in business with? and just have these things there. And you just have to remember to pull it out and ask, because if you're creating value and you're sharing resources with them and introducing them to other professionals, the reciprocal nature of the brain will want them to do that too. So you just need to have a little tool, a little push, a little crutch, essentially, because I can't just flap my arms and fly. That's why we have airplanes. I can't, rub my hands together to create fire. That's why we have lighters. So using little tools like that you just create once and you carry with you will help make it easier. And the other thing, Tom, is you need to make a commitment. Okay, if you make a commitment to go to the gym every single day and you have a lifting partner or a running partner, you have an accountability partner, you are so much more likely to follow through and go to do your workouts. So the other thing is get somebody who's in the business that you like and respect, and commit that you're going to get introductions. Commit that you're going to ask every single day, at least once. And it only works if there's some teeth in the game. So if any day goes by and you don't ask, you have to do something you don't want to do. I've got some women in them coaching, so if they don't ask, they have to do 50 burpees. I had another client who was very much in one political party, and he wrote a $1,000 check to the other political party and handed it to his manager. And if there was a day when he did not ask and get introductions, his manager was going to send that check. You need to make not doing it more painful than doing it.
Thank you.
Other questions? Can you stay in front of clients and referral sources ongoing? One, I send birthday cards, and instead of just sending birthday cards, what I always did is I didn't want to send Christmas cards because everybody sent Christmas cards. That was boring. So what I did is I'd send Halloween cards, and I'm Irish. So I'd send St. Patrick's Day cards. I'd send Independence Day cards. So I'd send different cards throughout the year. And one of the things that I did, which was a lot of fun, is I put glitter in my cards. And not just normal glitter. So like the St. Patrick's one were either like little shamrocks or it was green and gold and stuff like that. The Halloween ones were like bats or jack-o'-lanterns. And after like a year, clients would call me randomly throughout the year. I found glitter, and they'd be calling me and we'd have a discussion. It'd be funny and all that. But a couple extra times throughout the year, they would get these cards. And then they started opening the cards over their garbage can because they knew that it was coming. So I stopped sending glitter. Oh, and I got dozens and dozens of calls. Where's my glitter? Don't you love me anymore? I'm like, you're calling me, aren't you? And so we would talk. I would also do things like, I don't like golf personally, but once a month I would have a very exclusive soiree, and they literally had the purple rope up at the event, and I would invite about a dozen clients, and the price of admission was they had to bring somebody that was not yet a client who they thought I needed to get a chance to meet. I'd be there with my staff. I'd take my tie off so they knew I was having fun. I would not pay for the drinks because that's a liability thing. I would just have food, and there was drinks. They'd buy their own drinks, but they were discounted. And literally 75–80% of the people who came to these quarterly things became clients of mine. I'd occasionally have poker games. I would do things with charity. I do a lot of stuff with charity. I'm a charity advisor for philanthropy. So I do stuff like this to stay around. And the other thing is, when you're doing a really good fact finder, you find out about your clients. You find out what they like. So Kevin, when we were getting ready earlier, saw I got a Thor back here and we started talking about it. I find out about stuff like that with my clients. So if they're like, a big fan of certain things, I will be aware of it and I'll text them things. I'll email them things. So we're getting ready for spring training. I'm a diehard Yankees fan. So the abuse of my friends who are Red Sox Nation, it's going to start and it's going to be ongoing. So doing things like that, it's just further connecting. And yeah, Adam Sachs is going to be all over my butt because I make fun of the Red Sox, and it goes back and forth. And that's what friendship's built off of. And so it's beyond just being their financial advisor. It's getting involved in all these other things. And if you do that, then you earn the right to be there to answer their questions on other things like, should I lease this car or not? What are we going to do with the kids' college? They're considering these two colleges. Can you help us, figure it out? And you become more and more involved, and ultimately you become one of the chief advisors for them. And when you do that, they want to introduce you to everybody else. As I said, I get calls out of the blue. Hey, Joe, I'm a friend of so-and-so's. and I come talk to you. So that's how I, keep top of mind awareness. And my clients understand that, yeah, there's going to be a bunch of comedy. It's going to be, a lot of entertainment value, but they come to see me because I create value. I always add value for them. In fact, that's my benchmark. If I'm not going to be valuable to them, if I'm not going to add something to them so that that hour they spend with me is better spent than like going to the dentist or what have you, we're not going to meet. But if you have that and you create that value, then as long as you ask, they will gladly introduce you to other people. So we're chat stuff. Headgeek at unique-minds.com is not a correct web page. No, that's not. It's a correct email address. Okay, it was Joe's contact her, chat's disabled. Okay, anything else? Anybody?
Yeah, someone's asking where they can get the introduction book.
Oh, the introduction book. So if you go to this QR code, it takes you to Everyday-Excellence. If you scroll all the way down in the shop, if you look at back room, that's where you can get my financial planning stuff. Or just email me and I'll, show you. So, as I said, we established an if-then statement right up front. If this was valuable and you're not yet an NAIFA member, I expect your membership within an hour or two, because you just got thousands and thousands of dollars of free advice. You just got tens of thousands of dollars put in your pocket if you're going to apply it. So you need to join NAIFA. And if you're not, and if you are already a NAIFA member and you found this valuable, I ask, go find another NAIFA member. Share the QR code. Share the link. Tell them about how valuable it is. And we need to grow and get more people in here so we can do a better job serving our clients. With that, I'm going to say thank you and see y'all later.
Thank you so much, everyone.